It's only
I feel like
Kane. Why you have to be mad?
Sorry, what was that?
Is he in Nashville? Am I close geographically?
They've
The
been cooking it
contracts.
up.
The contracts are coming in.
No one knows what he is. He's a big orange monster
What's
with
he?
googly eyes.
He's
and
a gritty.
Okay.
Little.
The Florida lead.
What do you think of Owen's bracket? Do you remember it?
It's hopeful.
Keep it a mystery for now.
Yeah, let's keep it a mystery for about 5 seconds because it's the Bread Loves Hockey podcast.
Whoa.
I don't even know if we'll keep the segue or not, but we're back.
We can jump into that first.
Yeah, I guess
After
we
you
can.
say the episode number or whatever you do.
I have been. I don't know. I feel like I don't need to every time, but just a fresh reminder.
Episode 21.
Yeah, thanks, Dean.
I think.
So we were just discussing prior to the recording the Dylan Larkin injury is part of the Senators Red Wings game there. Big hit. He sort of went down. Or actually, it wasn't a big hit really, but he goes down and he was laying motionless for a while. He is improved since then. He's still considered day to day. I think they're expecting him to maybe come back next week. As of right now, so that's really good news because it looked pretty scary to start.
And I saw there's this guy on YouTube that does like a breakdown of sports injuries. Like he's a doctor, and he was talking about how like it looked like a hockey play, but it was the first shove, and then he got hit into the other Senators player and got hit like on the neck here, and there's like some artery or something that like if you get hit hard enough, it can like it basically is used to like regulate your blood pressure to your head, to your brain. So like if you have high blood pressure, it like constricts or whatever. But if it gets a lot of force, it can confuse that for blood pressure and like cut off blood to your brain, and he could have gotten knocked out that way rather than a concussion. I thought that was interesting. And then the other part of that was the Perron suspension because he retaliated and hit cross-check Zub in the back, who wasn't even the one that hit Larkin. But I guess Perron probably didn't know that at the time. They was all kind of in a scrum.
Yeah.
So he's out 6 games. I don't know. I think Zub was okay, right?
I think so. I don't remember hearing anything about that. I know they're playing tonight. I'm pretty sure he's in the lineup, which is good. So yeah, I agree that when I was watching the recap of it, it did look like a pretty innocuous play in front of the net. I think there were maybe 2 Sens players sort of in front of Larkin, and that sort of caused the hit and then the eventual injury. So I think overall it's probably pretty good if that's all it was. If he's going to be able to play, hopefully in a couple of days here, maybe like next week. It seemed like it could have been a lot worse. And then the suspension, I know the NHLPA was talking about, or they did say that they were going to appeal on behalf of Perron, the suspension. And it sounds like that didn't go their way, or because I think, as far as I know, it's still a 6-game suspension, and he's not playing tonight. So I don't know how fair 6 is. I mean, it did seem like he pretty much went right for his head, but I don't know. Maybe if there's some prior history, I don't really recall anything like that with Perron. Do you?
I mean, I guess his argument would be like heat of the moment. You see one of your star players go down, and you're looking to like, your captain, and you're looking to like get back at that player. And I mean, it happened so quick. So he picked out the guy closest to Larkin, and just like he lost his mind for a second. And I mean, that's not an excuse, but like he tried to play something along that line of saying it was like heat of the moment type thing, and it wasn't necessarily premeditated or intent to injure. It was just like a reactionary play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think 6 games is reasonable. Like again, it's well after the play. You're going after someone to cause harm.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, the play was definitely dead, and you can certainly have a little bit more care into where you're actually placing your stick when you're, cross-checking them in the back of the head or in the face. It's like, yeah, you really didn't have to do that. Like, even if you're angry, like, there's other ways of doing it, especially through the rules with like fighting or whatever. But yeah, regardless, they're gonna be without him for a little bit here. Comfer's also out, and obviously Larkin. So some big hits for the Wings right now.
Yeah, and you also reminded me when you're talking about the NHLPA. I've heard talks that not from like Corey Perry or his agents, but that he might appeal. Like I heard this on from other hockey analysts because like the NHLPA would want to do this because otherwise, if you let this become like a precedent, then anytime a team has a bad contract, it could get terminated if someone just kind of like does something bad PR wise or like
Right.
goes out drinking and I don't know, makes a fool of himself or something like that. Like it's a slippery slope. So, but the NHLPA can't do this without the players' like consent. So I think they have 60 days to appeal or something like that. So I guess not that I have any knowledge or insider knowledge, but if I were to speculate, I would assume Perry's kind of like waiting it out for things to die down and then might discuss with the NHLPA. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if he appeals it. Or maybe he's just like, whatever, I don't need the money. Like, I don't think it's about money for him, but I guess if the NHLPA wants to not make this a thing.
Yeah, I feel like it would mostly come down to how he feels about, winding down his career. Obviously, he's in the later years, and does he really feel like he has much more to prove, or if he still has the same fire? Like, if coming back means that much to him, despite a potential, firestorm PR wise, like whatever team signs him, if they do, is signing him with that, added stigma. So it's like, do I really want to ask teams for that? Like, do I, think enough about myself as what I have left to offer on the ice that teams are even gonna want to touch it? Maybe, and that depends on what the NHLPA comes out with as far as a appeal or a statement for on behalf of Corey.
Yeah.
So I think it's you're probably right that he is sort of testing the waters a little bit, and maybe in like a couple of weeks, like a month or so, we'll get a better understanding.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if he also just doesn't play again.
Me either. I mean, he's been bouncing around, recently. Been with a few different clubs. Chicago, terminating him is probably kind of like, okay. I understand that whatever happened was like a PR incident, but and we still, the public, don't know the full extent of what happened. So, we could be making light of something that was pretty serious, but as far as we know, it wasn't anything that warranted an arrest. So that's positive. But yeah,
That was the other thing. Like when they announced it, they're like, it wasn't, didn't have to do with like team members, families. It didn't have to do with like anything illegal. And they're like, still these things it didn't have to do with. And it's like, well, what does that leave?
Yeah, what are the potential options? Which we're left to our own devices as far as conjuring up what that could be. But
And I saw how that went, letting the internet conjure up ideas. But I think we already talked about this. So
yeah,
I guess we can move on.
so we'll see if a team would be willing to pick up a 38-year-old forward who had some. I mean, he actually wasn't
Playing well
having a
this
bad
year.
year either, though. Is the thing is like he actually was playing pretty well in Chicago beforehand. So
Yeah.
if he feels like he could really provide something for a team that's like willing to take a chance, especially a potential playoff team, might not be that hard of a decision.
And then happier news for everyone who isn't an Islanders fan, Tavares got his 1,000th point, and
Yeah,
was it in New York?
it was in New York. It was a late tying goal with like 6 seconds in the game to have Toronto force overtime. Toronto did lose that game though, so Islanders still get to create a bittersweet memory for Leafs fans, just like Ottawa did with Austin Matthews' debut, and there's been a couple other Leafs games like that where the really exciting personal achievement is completely tainted by the team's overall performance, which is fun to relish in as a Leafs hater, despite the flag or the pennant up there. But yeah, it was pretty interesting.
I didn't even remember that the Maple Leafs lost that game where Matthews scored 4.
Yeah, yeah. The Senators won. Owen will definitely remind you if you forget,
Yeah.
because that's
I
one
guess
of
I just haven't brought it up. Yeah.
his prouder Senators moments of recent years, because there aren't that many to choose from. Uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, so Tavares, he joins pretty elite company. I think I saw it was like 1% of NHL players reach 1,000 points. He's in like the top. I can't remember the net exact number. It's like 90 or so players as far as points scored in the career, which is like, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like, he just passed Phil Kessel, and there's a couple other guys that either retired pretty recently or are still in the league that he's
I think of
passed
other
as
people
well.
who were just shy of 1,000 points.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm trying to. Was it Keith Yandel maybe that had like 994? I'll have to take a look, but yeah, I mean, he's still playing really well right now. Drafted in what, 2009, I think. So I think he's the leading point getter for that draft class, which is pretty cool.
I'm pulling up the points leader. And every time you pull up a stat like this and you see that Gretzky is basically 1,000 points ahead of Yager in second.
It's just on week. I mean,
The
you could
top
we
5, you have 1798, 1850, 1887, 1921, 2857. Anyway, we're not going to go into Gretzky talk.
we could dedicate a whole episode just to talking
Yeah.
about Gretzky stats.
Episode 99.
Stay tuned in a couple years.
Jason Spezza had 995. Kessel
Yeah.
had 992.
Spezza, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah, Paul Kariya didn't quite make it.
Oh,
Shane Doan.
that must kind of sting like a little bit. It's like, oh, the rare 4-digit club, like, oh, be pretty cool. But it's off Tavares' shoulders now, so pretty cool milestone.
Blake Wheeler's up to 930. You think he makes it?
I did see that. I was wondering about it. Do you know how many points he's scored with the Rangers this season? He's like also pretty. He's 37 or 38. I don't know.
Yeah, he's 37. He's got 4 goals in 27 games.
That's
So, probably not.
I mean,
Or 8 points.
Okay, 8 points. I think he probably can't get there, but maybe. I mean, if he feels like he can play until he's like 40, maybe.
McDavid is 1 career point ahead of Marchand. 888 and 887.
Wow. Yeah, McDavid's been on a tear recently. He's got like 22 points in his last, what was it, 14 games or something like that. Dean was right on the money with the Oilers and not counting them out. And for the playoff race, they're currently, I think, 1 point shy of a wild card spot, but they're finally coming back, and Stuart Skinner's had a big bounce back, which was a key item for them to have any chance. And so yeah, they're back to the Edmonton Oilers that everybody was expecting them to be going into this year.
All right, while I'm on the stats page, I want to ask you a couple people that your take on if you think they'll make it to 1,000. Starting with Brad Marchand, 887.
How,
He's
how old is he?
so he is 35. He's got 25 points in 27 games this year. So I mean,
He,
another good year for the Bruins, but not they're gonna have a point per game season, but that's less than 2 seasons at
uh,
that rate.
yeah, I think he has enough to get it done. Yeah,
I'm gonna say it ends between like 950 and 1,000.
it could.
I put that in the predictions.
If you feel it's warranted, I'll allow it.
Yeah,
As the
I'll
keeper of the document, apparently, even though we both have
um,
editing access.
Jamie Bennett 867. I don't think Brett Burns at 850.
Unlikely.
Jeff Carter 840. Nope. Um, Voracek 806. So McKinnon at 800 is one I think that seems easy.
Hmm. Yeah, I think so too. Um,
He's 28.
yeah, he hasn't showed any signs of slowing down, and he's still scored some crazy goals already this year. So, yeah, I can't write him off.
Ooh, this is a neat little stat for all you listeners. McDavid at 888 and Drysdale's at 777.
Oh, the dynamic duo.
Drysdale gets there probably.
Yeah, yeah.
And then 1 point behind him is Kucherov at 776, and I would say probably
I feel
gets to
pretty
go.
pretty good about that too. He just he just keeps finding a way to score. I mean, he's been really solid this year too. Um, yeah. If it's not Point, it's Kucherov, and if it's not those two, it's Stamkos, and it's just like they just find a way to keep scoring. Although they are out of a playoff spot right now, but a lot of a pretty tight race I think in the East right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's like that every year. I mean, then you also have the people at the bottom of the East, but there's no one like running away. At least not that I think of in the East. Like I know,
Not
I mean,
not
the
really
Bruins just
like
slowed down.
yeah, the Panthers aren't that far behind the Bruins.
Yeah, 4 points behind.
Like the Rangers have been doing pretty well, but Shesterkin has not been actually. Like his numbers have not been good, and it's been Jonathan Quick surprisingly, after winning a Stanley Cup last year, even though he didn't play in the playoffs. He does get the hoist the cup. His name's on it, and he's like I think he's 7-0-1. He's had like a really good year, which is, I mean, I don't
For
think
him.
many people were expecting that. It's just gonna be Shesterkin's net and Quick's there to just bail him out every other couple of nights. So it's already a strange season for Rangers fans.
I feel like it's been a strange season just in general.
Yeah, it has been.
I mean, it
Um,
happens every year. We're like, oh, Arizona's in a playoff spot. Ha ha, we're like 5 games in. That's crazy. And then you're like, wait a minute. Like, some of this is sticking.
we're not laughing anymore. It's
Yeah.
real. The Ducks
They're no
have dropped
longer.
off though.
Oh, they are still in a playoff spot. The Coyotes.
They're they're
500 points
they're
percentage.
still in. Yeah,
The Oilers are 1 point behind them with 2 games in hand now.
yeah. That's they really. I think the Coyotes really needed the Oilers to continue to stop winning in order to have a chance. I don't know. We'll see. It seems like all
Oh,
three of the Central
Calgary.
teams are still doing well. Like Winnipeg keeps winning even though they've been suspect the last couple of years, and
Hmm.
Colorado and Dallas have still looked good. So it's gonna be
Yeah.
tight.
I mean, there's teams that people thought would be in that aren't. I mean, Minnesota, people had like borderline. Some people had Kraken out. Some people had them in. Calgary is doing bad, and a lot of people had them in. I mean, there's definitely room for other teams. I mean, Nashville and Arizona in wild card spots. I don't know how many people had them making the playoffs, or
I
Vancouver,
Yeah, right.
or Winnipeg.
That's why we never really know. I mean, we think we know after the playoffs what everything's going to look like, and after all the off-season trades and things are made, and then they start playing, and it's a new year. It's a fresh start. A lot of these guys are, joining new clubs or trying to build chemistry with new teammates, and yeah, things are just not always as they might have seemed. So, pretty cool.
And I think after doing our preseason brackets for enough years, we've learned that, yep, we don't know anything.
I mean, yeah, especially me. I feel like I never seem to hit very well. Did have Panthers in the finals in my preseason bracket though, but I had them winning against Minnesota, I believe. So that one, not so good. Minnesota, they didn't do too hot. But still jury's out for this year. I've got Boston and Dallas at the other end. So Boston could happen. They're still really good.
Yeah, I mean, as far as your picks this year, they're looking good so far.
No, Vancouver is probably gonna hurt. Yeah, like Calgary, that one's pretty much a flop. I think at this point. And most likely Buffalo. It's really looking hard to say that they're gonna be able to pull through. Sorry, folks. I really believed this time.
All right, so you put this on here that the Wizards and Caps are heading to Alexandria, Virginia. Was it before or after they came out saying they were going to add the $500,000 funding to
Yeah,
keep them in?
So the storyline is that the ownership group, the owner owns the Wizards, the Capitals, and the WNBA Washington team, which I can't remember the nickname for. I just read it, but I don't remember. So they were planning on signing this agreement with Alexandria. I think it's a non-binding contract as of right now, and then so in a sort of last-ditch effort to get the Capitals to stay, the city of DC offered the $500 million for infrastructure improvements to Capital One, which it sounds like the asking price from the ownership group to DC was $600 million. So that was sort of DC's like push to try to keep them around without completely giving in. And there's still time. Like, I don't think the Alexandria thing is set in stone yet. I think it's like the city council has to have a meeting January 10th next year. So then we'll know more then. But as of right now, that seems to be the way that they're leaning, which is so the new arena site is only like 4 miles away from Capital One, but I'm sure a lot of Giants and Jets fans can tell you what it feels like to have your team not actually play where the team name is.
I think it's weird though to be like DC's not even a state. It's like kind of a different.
Yeah, DC is in its own little world there. But it's so we'll see. The plan would be for them to move as late as 2028. So I think groundbreaking in 2025 for the new site, and then moving in 2028. $2 billion project with the ownership group putting in $403 million of their own money towards it. So, and there was some other stuff about how the taxpayers would be benefiting. I don't think it's directly taxpayer funded. The rest of it, there's some money from the city, and there's going to be using the revenue from the arena district and stuff, I guess. So I don't know the full details. I was just trying to brief myself a bit before we hopped on. But
they're going to get a new arena before Arizona.
Hopefully not. For Arizona's sake. Yeah. We should know more about that at the beginning of the year as well. So I think a lot of Caps fans are not happy with it. I don't know. We'll see if there's people that are in Virginia. I mean, it really doesn't make much of a difference if it's that short of a move. But there are like infrastructure things like roadways to access the new site and stuff that might make a difference. But yeah, I guess there's a new like Virginia Tech facility that's near the proposed site, and I think Amazon's HQ2 is also over there. So there's some existing infrastructure already in the area, which is good.
Oh, it makes sense that it's gonna be mostly politics based off the location it's around. So
Yeah, the hub.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure there's more news to come on that one as far as officially announcing things. We'll see if DC offers more money to try to keep Capital One, or if they feel like that's a lot of money and that they might be better off investing that money and doing something else with the building rather than keeping the Capitals and the Wizards. So stay tuned.
Mm-hmm. Um, so you'd also want to talk about the refereeing. You mentioned how it's been heavily criticized. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is a discussion every year. I don't
Yeah,
know if I mean, it's also every playoffs is when it's like, wow, the refereeing's terrible this year. It's the worst ever because like people really focus on calls when games really matter.
yeah.
I mean, again, I watch all the Bruins games and not much beyond that. And I mean, yeah, there's been bad calls, but I feel like it's the same every year. I don't know if there was any like specific things you would point to, or if you're just talking about the criticism you've seen like online.
I can honestly say I don't remember exactly what prompted me to put
Mhm.
that bullet in the document. I there must have been like just some calls related to some of the injuries and things like plays that caused an injury that weren't called appropriately. Um, I know the Goodbranson hit was was pretty heavily scrutinized. Maybe that's what I was referencing. Um, but yeah, there's been just some questionable stuff when it comes to how I guess suspensions and things are issued, which isn't exactly refereeing, but there had been
It's also
play.
been scrutinized forever.
Yeah,
The
right. Like
spin the wheel.
there have been plays that have resulted in suspensions this year that I think weren't assessed properly on the ice. Like they weren't given 5 minute majors, like or they were just given a minor penalty when it seemed pretty egregious. So I think that's probably where I was going. So we'll see if that changes. I probably not. I mean, it's freaking officiating. It's always gonna be, like you mentioned, heavily criticized and looked at with a pretty big microscope.
Mhm.
But hopefully things turn around. I mean, you're always gonna get teams that feel that they don't get the calls or whatever, but that's kind of every
Yeah.
team.
Yep.
Especially if your team lost the game.
Definitely. I don't know. People like to complain even when they win.
Yeah, the
But yeah.
humble complain. We try to be humble. It's like, oh
Mhm.
man, we won, but man, the refs were really bad. I feel so bad for that team that we just beat. Like, that's tough, guys. It's like, yeah, shut up.
I
Like,
mean, there's been
your
Bruins
team won.
games this year where, like, yeah, did the refs like call a bunch of terrible calls against the Bruins? Yeah. Is that why we lost? No. Like, I don't know. You can blame the refs, but they also don't. They're hardly ever the reason your team loses. Like, you can have a bad officiate game and it doesn't actually determine the outcome. Like, normally, if you're getting calls against you a lot, you're also probably just playing bad and don't have possession or things like that.
Yeah, I mean, there can be things where it's like you call like a pretty bad, you make a bad call in overtime or something, and it's like either if it's a no call that could have been a penalty shot or whatever, or if
Yeah.
or if it's a stupid penalty that results in a power play where they score, it's like yeah, you're usually pretty ticked off about something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would agree that it's officiating isn't everything. The team has to actually play, so there's some elements of both.
Except for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final in 2019. That was terrible officiating, and all those refs should be fired.
Shout outs. So
Yeah, any reason you chose that jersey today?
well, I wore it because of the recent news coming out of St. Louis with the firing of Chief, aka Craig Berube. So he's out. The head coach, which brought the Stanley Cup to St. Louis for the first time in their franchise, he's now out, despite with the lackluster start this year. And so Drew Bannister, who was the I believe was the Thunderbird, the Springfield Thunderbirds coach, is now the interim head coach for St. Louis, at least for the season. So seems like he's pretty familiar with a lot of the players. I think I watched a brief interview with him about joining the team, and think he's worked with most of the players on the big club in some capacity during his tenure there. He's been with the organization for a while, which is good. I think for interim head coaches, at least you don't want to rock the boat too much unless you really have a guy in mind, like what Hines was for Minnesota so far. So
it's nice to have like the players familiar with the coach already.
Yeah, I think that goes a long way. He mentioned that. So they're playing their first game under him tonight. We'll see if they get a win. I feel like head coaches always get a win in their first game. It feels like pretty much. I don't know if there's ever been.
I've jinxed it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a game where two brand new head coaches have faced off. That would be pretty interesting to see.
Yes, I don't know anything about Drew Bannister. I mean, I assume the interim will be the kind of thing like most times where you play the season, and if you do well, then they'll keep him around, and if not, they move on. But I don't know, based off your little research you've done, if you had anything else or any idea if he's going to be long term or not.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like he's not going to be doing anything too radical with like changing systems. Maybe one point of emphasis will be power play. Who was it? Was it Sam that sent that graphic of
Oh yeah.
they've scored more shorthanded goals, which was 8, than they've scored power play goals this season at 7. So that's a weird stat and not a recipe for success usually. I mean, you like scoring shorthanded goals, but you don't want to have to be penalized that often, and you don't want to have your power play struggling that much. So we'll see if that's a point of emphasis. But I think, yeah, they're probably just going to wait it out for the rest of the season, see how the chemistry is with some of the players and the coach, and then reevaluate in the offseason.
Also got me thinking, so obviously the narrative going back to 2019 when Berube got hired, they were last in the league in January, and we all know how that ended. They won the cup. We don't need to go any further into that. But I wonder how much Berube actually changed. Like if it was just like more of a voice in the locker room motivation thing, and that got him from last to winning the cup, or if he made like structural changes. I mean, I know assistant coaches are the ones for special teams mainly, but like to make that drastic of a change in half a season, like he must have done something. So I guess if any team's going to give their interim coach some leeway, you'd think it would be the Blues.
Probably, yeah. I feel like I'm not that familiar with how the Blues operated before Berube was there, and I feel like I don't know his system well enough to discern any major differences. So I guess we'll just have to keep track of how Bannister's doing and see if they make a push for the playoffs this year. Because I mean they've been towing the line of like the first, second wild card spot for the last couple of weeks now. They're not out of the mix, but I think most people didn't have them returning heading into the season.
Yeah, they're 13, 14, and 1 right now. So
yeah, so
they're hanging around, but
they had a pretty
ideal.
They had a pretty abysmal start to the season too. Like they had a pretty good stretch, and then now they're sort of middling out a bit, which is led to the firing. So
yeah, they've lost their last 4. So
yeah,
3-7-0 in their last 10. I guess, yeah. Like I said about Edmonton at some point, it's like, well, we might as well try something. Let's get a new coach in here.
Yeah, I mean, time is a pretty valuable resource, and if you're as a GM or an owner, if you feel like you have a pretty good idea of the trajectory of the team. You want to be able to make decisions when it makes as soon as it's feasible to do so you can change things quickly and start your team on a better path. So I think that's what they've been doing last couple of seasons, like with trading off Tarasenko and trading off O'Reilly and a couple other assets. They just traded Bortuzzo to the Islanders. They picked up a seventh in this year's draft because Bortuzzo's pretty old. He's like 34 or so. But yeah, so I think we'll get a really good understanding of where the management group is at once the season wraps up, whether or not they make the playoffs or not.
Mm-hmm. All right, going from Blues to Bruins. Let's talk some Bruins news. There's just two small things. Rask was the emergency goalie for a day.
Yeah.
I think it was because Swayman was sick. I think it was during that time because he's had like some illness stuff going on. But so he practiced with the team. Nothing like he's coming off retirement, but just a fun little story.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that, or other than
I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh, like that's kind of fun. I thought at first that he was actually the e-bug for Buffalo, and that he would be playing against Boston in the game, which I don't know if that's actually the case. I think he was for Boston, but
he actually wasn't going to be the e-bug for the game. I don't think. I think they had someone else.
Oh, they did. Okay.
I think he just suited up for practice because they only had one goalie skating, so they needed someone else to like take shots.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah, okay. So I thought he was the e-bug. But yeah, it would have been like, I don't know if that's probably ever happened where like an e-bug was a former player for one of the other teams and like played against them as a backup or as the e-bug. Like e-bugs in general.
Zamboni drivers.
Yeah, that's true. They generally don't make any games. That's why they're designated as emergency. You really don't want to have to ever use them. There have been a couple that have played some games last couple of seasons. David Ayers in, was it 2020 or 2021? I think 2020. That was the pretty infamous story there, especially with Toronto. I know.
And there's the guy in Chicago.
Forrester.
Yeah, Scott. Maybe.
Yeah, Scott. Yeah. There was a Ducks goalie who played, and then a Stars e-bug also played. I wish I could say I remembered their names, but I saw them at one point and I just didn't commit them to memory because I was like, this trivia is probably so so not useful. Like, I probably don't need to know it. But cool, they're always kind of cool little stories when they happen.
Yeah. And the other Bruins news is that Zaboral was placed on waivers, and it was to accommodate his request to see if other teams were interested in giving him an opportunity.
Yeah, he hasn't been able to play with the big club this year, right?
No. I mean, so McAvoy has been hurt, and Forbort is on LTIR, and they brought up Lohrei to try to fill in. So I guess they see something in him, but he's a rookie. So I'm surprised they haven't given Zaboral more of a chance. I think people are saying, "Well, we give him another chance." Like, why another team? But I mean, I guess if we're not going to play him, he should play somewhere because he's a good depth defender. He's not going to be a top pairing in the league ever, but he definitely, to me, is an NHL player.
Was he one of the ones that was part of the 2015 draft? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was.
On the tweet, someone tweeted the classic Barzal, Connor, Shabbat.
Yeah. It's never not a tough pill to swallow when you see that, but again, it's like,
hey, but the breast is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. They hit at least once there, which is good.
And he
And
got past like 26 that other year, so that's pretty cool. All those people passed on him.
right. And it's like even knowing what that player is like now, they could not have the same opportunity if they were drafted somewhere else. Like, Kyle Connor or Matt Barzell could have not flourished in a different system or not have the same opportunity just based on the team's structure at the time when they were drafted. So it's like, yeah, you never really know if they're going to pan out exactly that same way. But either way, we'll see. I would like to see Zaboral be able to get a role somewhere else. A team that feels that they could use him. Because I guess he's expressed interested in staying in North America to play. He really feels like he has more to offer. Which, yeah, good on him to try to get an opportunity if he really doesn't feel like Boston's going to give him any more of a chance.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I've been picking everything. I'll let you take your pick from the list here.
They all look pretty good. So I mentioned the Bortuzzo trade. Both Ryan Pulock and Adam Pelech, number one D pair for the Islanders, have both missed some time. I think Pulock is out long term. I think Pelech is short term right now. He might be back at this point. I don't know. But so I think that's why they paid pretty cheap to pick up Bortuzzo from St. Louis. Just veteran depth defenseman. So that's what the rationale was for that trade. And then Buffalo trades a conditional 7th in 2025 for Eric Robinson, who was in Columbus. And I guess the condition is Robinson has to play 45 games or more this season with Buffalo, and if he doesn't, then they don't get the pick. So I'd say it's a pretty slam dunk for Buffalo if they can get really anything out of him. It's like if you just play him, you don't lose anything. So
yeah,
pretty low risk. I haven't seen much on him since he's been there. I think he's only played like maybe 3 or 4 games, but I don't think they traded for him expecting a whole lot. But they kind of have to make some moves, and we're getting closer and closer to the deadline. We're more in the Winter Classic All Star break range first, and then we'll.
Well, there's also the trade deadline freeze or the trade freeze coming up over the holiday.
For the holiday weekend or break, yeah.
If people want to do anything before that.
That's true.
It's
not really talked about as much.
No.
Do you know?
Find the date.
Do you know if? Or well, no, I guess it wouldn't be that way. I'm thinking because the trade deadline, you can actually trade for players after the trade deadline, but they can't be on your active roster. I think is what the.
I think it's like they just can't play that year or something.
Yeah.
It's something weird. That like never happens.
Yeah, I feel like there have been a couple of those, maybe in semi-recent history.
Trading for someone who's like out for the season, but like you want them on your roster next year.
Yeah, or like really like prospects and things. I feel like there've been a couple of those.
Yeah.
I'd have to take a look and see if there's any notable examples. My guess would be probably not, because that's why they make the trade deadline. It just doesn't, and you can't really get any use out of them if they're not playing. So, yeah, but we'll see. We're getting closer and closer to the break, and then it's Winter Classic time. I'm excited for that. I haven't gotten my Vegas jersey yet. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'll get it for Christmas or not. I can't remember if I asked for it. And if not, I'll probably wait it out a little bit, see if I can get one for not full price, and then put it right there on the wall.
I'm telling you should move that rack and just hang up however many jerseys fit on that wall.
Well,
whole entire wall, nice collage.
I don't know if I could put that many more because of the window is there, like takes up a
Put it over
decent
the
amount of room.
window.
Move
You
the
need that?
window?
No, put it over the window.
How can I hang something over the window?
You need to hang it from like the top part.
Well, I
And
mean,
then
the bottom part I can't really utilize though.
you can hang it from the jersey above it.
Oh my god. A little chain.
Yeah.
They probably have hangers like that where they're really long and they have two different sections.
Get a Vegas flag and then put it over the window.
Actually, I do have a Cup Champion banner that I keep in my office. Not this office, my work office.
Is this your work from home office?
Yeah. So I guess they're both my work offices.
Do you blur your background when you go on calls?
No? I don't really have to go on calls when I work from home. So, yeah. I mean, we really don't do many video calls for anything. So, it works out nice.
If you did, would you blur your background? No,
I wouldn't.
They all know you're an addict.
I make it pretty clear that I like hockey. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I don't wear jerseys at work except for I wore one this year for Halloween. I mentioned I dressed up as a hockey player, so they do know I have at least one jersey. But yeah, I've like thought about it, like wearing one like a casual Friday or something, and I'm like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like work appropriate. So
I have two. I've thought about it because like other people have worn like Broncos jerseys and stuff on Fridays, but the work I do, it's like my clothes get dirty.
Yeah.
So I have to, like I wear it into work and I leave it at my desk, and I'd be like, well, what's the point of this?
Yeah, right. I would not want to wear mine like out in the field for anything. Like if I was in the office, I guess it wouldn't make much of a difference unless I'm like eating. I usually take off jerseys when I'm eating anyways, so unless it's like something that I know I'm not gonna spill.
Make a mess.
Yeah, but if there's like really any chance that I could mess something up, I'm like pretty cautious about it. Like, yeah, I really don't want to have to replace that, especially if it's not a cheap jersey or one that's easy to buy now, like any of the outdated reverse retros. It's like, yeah, I can't
bring
replace
a Tide to Go stick with you anytime you wear a jersey.
Yeah. I should just have those for regular day use without jerseys too. I feel like I'm not as bad as Brie though. She spills pretty much every time she eats dinner, more or less. She doesn't listen to the show anymore, so it's okay if I she won't know.
Never know. Our little secret.
Yeah, she surprises me. She's like, "I heard what you said on the show, you jerk." But
is she at least a subscriber?
I think so. I should double check. Get those numbers up. This is your friendly reminder to please subscribe to the Bread Loves Hockey podcast here on YouTube or follow
and call the phone line.
Spotify. Yes, please call. We do have one voice memo to go over today. I guess we can transition into that now if you're prepared, Dean.
Sure.
I haven't listened to it. Dean has.
I was telling Brendan that so it's a Google Voice number and it was still forwarded to my phone. So it's someone who I have in my contacts. It was Owen. So I just answered it and then it was in the middle of his voicemail, so I kind of cut him off. But I'll play until he gets cut off. I think it ends on a sentence at least. So
good.
It's pretty complete. All right, so let's go ahead and hopefully you can hear this.
Hey guys, long time listener, first time caller. Just thinking, if you were to take hockey and turn it upside down, could you still play it?
I think that's when I called him. So that's all. That was the voicemail. Thanks, Owen, for calling in.
Yeah, thanks. That's
very, very inquisitive.
What a thought-provoking question.
Oh, this was also at like 9 a.m. on Saturday.
I was like, it's got to be either at like 2 in the morning or like
He must have like just woken up.
yeah 7 or something. Yeah.
Do you have an answer for him?
So the question was, what if you turn hockey upside down? Could you still play it? I think is what he asked. So I guess I have no idea. Probably probably not. How can you turn it upside down? I mean, you can't have ice floating in the middle of the air and then you
mount the ice to the ceiling.
stick to the bottom. Yeah, but how do you avoid the gravity?
You'd have to put really big magnets under the ice so the skates stick to it.
But then how do you move?
You don't lift your skates off the ice. You can skate without lifting your feet off the ice.
But if
It's
the
not
magnet, I guess you'd have to dial in the magnet strength so that way it holds you enough, but you can still move about the surface.
Right. Well, if there's a big slab magnet, you can move your skates like this, like make like C shapes.
What about the
And,
puck though?
Put a magnet in it. It's easy. Everything's magnets.
Everything's magnet. There you have it, Owen. Everything's magnets.
Everything's magnets. That's your answer. Yes, you could. You just need everything to be a magnet.
Oh,
and then figure out how to play 60 minutes without all the blood rushing to your head.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. There's that. Now, would all the fans in the stands be upside? They'd have to be upside down, right? You know.
No, the ice is above, so you watch like this.
Oh.
It's all happening above you.
Wow. Well, you'd probably be able to sell a lot of tickets that way.
I don't know how you get the puck to leave the ice on shots if it just stays on the ice.
That's what I was concerned about. And then, if you shoot it and you miss the net, wouldn't it just fall to the floor where the fans are?
Well, if you miss the net, assuming the puck never leaves the ice, no.
Oh, bro, yeah. Let's assume that you are able to shoot in a way like real hockey and that...
Well, yeah, pucks leave the ice already. You just don't get hit. I don't know, put nets up. It's fine.
So you have everybody looking up like this, and then you have a mesh net that catches
Well, you
all
only
of the
need the
pucks.
ice to be like 7 feet off the floor, theoretically, because no one's taller than 7 feet, so...
I guess so.
I don't know where you put the Jumbotron.
Oh, the Jumbotron.
On the floor.
It's just screens that are surround the bottom of the rink.
I hope Owen watches this for our in-depth answer.
Yeah,
we have to let him know that we answered his question.
We really gave it our best shot.
Yeah. So if you have a question about hockey or any theoreticals, call us at this number that I'm going to tell you in a second when I remember it again. 720-507-5496. Or email us at breadhockey@gmail.com.
If you feel you don't need your voice to be heard physically on the show.
Was that volume okay? Like, could you hear him? Well, I guess you could.
It sounded fine, yeah. I was checking the audio levels on the recording too, and they seem to be picking it up just fine. So hopefully everybody was able to catch that.
Well, thanks for calling, Owen.
Thanks for calling, first-time caller, long-time listener,
Yeah.
Owen Curry.
Oh, I could also add like a voicemail box message, but I didn't do that because I'm lazy.
And our outgoing.
Yeah. I gotta leave a message. Beep.
Brett or Dean will not get back to you, but we might hear you on the show. If you're very good and if you're not saying something crude. I probably shouldn't even have mentioned that to discourage any possibility.
We're desperate. We'll take any call.
Yeah. Like, you could say the nastiest stuff. We just want somebody to listen.
We'll bleep it. We'll find a way.
Yeah. Someone just leaves a horrible message and it's just like 2 minutes of beeping.
Yeah.
What was it? I just saw somebody was playing the new Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2 game, and the commentary was like swearing over it, so they replaced the swear words with the like dolphin noises and sound effects from SpongeBob that have the curse bleeps. I thought that was pretty clever. Just to randomly bring up a video game that I'm slightly interested in, which has nothing to do with hockey. But and another thing I wanted to, actually, I was gonna preface this at the beginning of the episode before we got into the hockey stuff, but I forgot. My fantasy football season for my work league has officially ended. Unfortunately, I did not make it to the postseason in pretty tragic fashion, actually, which is pretty stock standard for me. I had a pretty disappointing season last year. I was the first person to not make it into the playoffs last year, and that stung quite a bit. And that happened again this year. There were 6 teams that make it, and I was the 7th team. And
not last.
Yeah, it was looking pretty grim like 4 or 5 weeks ago. They were giving me like a 4% chance. Like my team just wasn't at the same level. And then I started winning. Like I started putting up a lot of big points. Like my big name guys actually started coming back and playing well. So I went on a pretty good win streak. And this other guy, he only needed one more win in order to get in. And it like the whole season would have been pretty much a lock. And his team kept losing. Like they were just not putting up numbers. So it came down to the last week where it was between me and him. I needed to win, and I needed him to lose to somebody else. So I was sort of following it along, and it was actually looking pretty good. Like the percentage chance that ESPN was giving the other guy to win kept going up and up as the games were going on. It went down to Monday night, of course, naturally. And so there were like maybe 2 or 3 minutes left in the Dolphins game, and then suddenly, because at that point, he was at a 99% chance to lose. So it was looking really good for me. And then he got 2 really big money plays. He got a huge pass, and then he got a touchdown from another player, a couple more yards for his quarterback, and then it flipped a switch. 99 went to 1. And that's how I lost by less than 2 points. He got like 1.6 more than the other guy, won, and beat me out. So
You think he was even watching that game or knew how close it was?
I texted him after it happened, and I think he responded in the morning. So I don't remember if he was actually watching or not.
Oh.
I don't know, but he was definitely invested. Like he knew that was the scenario going into the game. So he definitely
like, oh look, I won. Cool.
Yeah, right. Like, oh wow, how about that? I guess I'm in the playoffs. That's fun. How about you, Slugger? You make it in? It's like, no, I did not.
Well, the last 2 weeks, the Giants have won their games, which is like now I want them to lose.
I know, it's very strange.
Yeah, now they're winning.
The Tommy DeVito show. But so he's actually second to worst for points scored for the whole league, but he was able to make it in through some sheer amount of luck with the matchups he got. Yeah, great defense. Meanwhile, I scored the 4th most points in the league, and I didn't. I've had like the 3rd most points scored. Like, yeah, just unlucky. So,
are you doing fantasy hockey? I forget.
I am not doing fantasy hockey. I'm just not into it. I don't find it nearly as interesting. And I mean, football is already enough of a blow to me every time I lose. So it's like, I probably shouldn't keep investing so much of my well-being into fantasy sports. You can already tell how worked up I am right now. I'm trying to move past it. I am in the playoffs in my other league, so we still got a chance. But tough when like everybody that I work with is in basically. But anyways, figured I'd just throw that in there, a little sports stuff, not directly related to hockey, but just give a little little insight into the personal life of your gracious host.
Sure. Yeah. It's more about the unluckiness as far as Brendan in sports is concerned.
Yeah, getting a little better full scope. Although, I was a lot more convincing when Vegas had never won a cup, and now it's like, okay, how bad do I really have it when?
It balances out a lot.
Yeah, it was pretty grim before this, so and I'm still holding out hope for the Bills to push through. So, you know, we'll see. Actually, maybe Sandroni will give us an update. He's going to the Bills game in Buffalo this Sunday. So
You've only got a couple more weeks.
yeah, it's fast approaching. I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna be going out there pretty soon for my doubleheader. So I'm excited for that. You don't have any games on the docket as of right now, Dean?
I do not. I was looking, and Boston is all away games while I'm home. So
Oh,
I was like, because normally it's like it doesn't work out anyway, but at least there's like hope, It's like if there's even a chance, but there's not even a chance. They're not even in town while I'm there, so it's
yeah.
like, oh,
Naturally,
well.
they're not playing in Colorado though, are they?
While I'm gone, that'd be funny. No,
Yeah.
they're actually playing. I think in early January, maybe February. I don't know. Maybe we'll go to that.
I assume you don't have any interest in going to like a Broncos game or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
If it was cheap, Rockies tickets are like $5 or $10. So it's like,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
we'll go to that. Why not? Like,
I just saw tickets for this upcoming Carolina Panthers game were going for like 45 cents or something like that. Like holy
plus
crap.
taxes and fees of $10.
Yeah, right. So you're probably paying like $7 or $10 a ticket at the end of the day, but like I mean, they're giving them away. I mean, actual
I
tickets like
wonder, like,
$400.
I can't imagine that's for like every team they play because like I assume it's like hockey where when the Bruins play Arizona, the Arizona tickets are more expensive than when Arizona plays Buffalo.
Well, it's interesting because it actually is a in division matchup too. Like
Like, is it a team that like fans would travel for?
um
If it was like
tough to
the
say.
Chiefs
They're
or
playing the Falcons, which are,
yeah.
one of the closest teams for them to Carolina, so I think you'll probably see a lot of Falcons fans make the trek. And it is for playoff positioning for Atlanta, despite them being terrible. There's three 6 and 7 teams in that division, and then the Panthers are 1 and 12. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
so one of those teams has to make it. Carolina's already been eliminated too, so they mathematically cannot make the playoffs. So that's why, yeah, it's pretty rough in Carolina right now. And the Hurricanes are not doing well either.
Yeah. Um you ran down 4-5-1 in their last 10. I mean, I think it's pretty simple and it just comes down to goaltending. Like I was looking 5-on-5, they have 898 save percentage.
Not the standard.
No. But I mean, I guess you can't blame everything on goaltending. Like I know when Tampa started the year, they obviously didn't have Vasilevsky, but they also weren't playing well. But then they even with bad goal or not their starter, they were able to like have a pretty good start to the year.
Yeah.
And I mean, your goaltending can also be bad based off like the shots you allow. Like if you play good defense, your goaltending looks better too. So it goes both ways. Like bad goaltending obviously isn't good, but it is part of just poor defense and poor playing in front of the goaltender.
Which is like exactly the opposite of how Carolina has been structured the last 3 or 4 years since they've been making the playoffs. Is they've been pretty solid defensively, and they haven't they've had different goalie tandems because they haven't really found like the guy I think that feels like a long-term solution yet. So but their goalies have actually been pretty good as far as underlying numbers over the last few years because of their sound defense, their structure. So it is kind of surprising to me, at least as an outsider who doesn't. I don't generally tune into a ton of Canes games, but yeah, they aren't playing at that same level. I was looking to see if they had like maybe some big injuries of note. They really don't right now. Maybe they've had some guys just come back. I know Svechnikov is actually out, so that's a big guy on the offensive side of things. But yeah, that I don't know what the excuses are, what the answer is really, but they've got to turn around quick because the Flyers are sitting in the playoffs right now and they're not. The Canes are not. So.
Yeah, the other thing with their 5-on-5 is their PDO is 975, which is not great. Again, it's their save percentage plus their shooting percentage. And I mean, if you average everyone's in the league, it goes to 1. So like generally below that is bad and should trend upwards. So I mean, some of it's luck, but also like especially the shooting percentage portion of it. Like if your team's shooting 5%, like that's not going to last all season. So it could just be a mix of the goalie's not making saves, the defense not protecting the goalie, and then also just not like getting goalied by the other team.
Yeah.
So I mean, we can. It's still. I mean, it's not early anymore, but it's still there's still time to
turn things
work
around.
Things out.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's probably an amalgamation of a bunch of different things, all culminating in negative overall play. So we'll see. I don't think it's time to be panicking yet. Even if you're a Canes fan, maybe we'll see. Next 5 games how they go. They did just beat the Senators last night, so that's good.
Wow, the Senators, tough matchup.
Yeah, they've still played like 6 or so games less than pretty much everybody, but they are at the bottom of the East still right now. So yeah, they've got games in hand, but they've got to be winning because it's still not looking good. The team structure has just been not there. Players are getting frustrated. Kachuk got into it with Kochetkov, actually. Brady had a penalty shot, and Kochetkov poke checked him, and Brady got pretty ticked off. They were going at it a little bit. So, yeah, it's just been a tough season for Sens fans who really had the most optimism that they've had in a long time, even after last year. So. We'll have to get Owen back on at some point to hear some of the inside look, a more detailed look at what's really going wrong, and maybe we'll see DJ Smith finally be exiled soon.
Yeah.
I probably would have pegged him to leave before Berube at this stage.
Yeah, I guess I would probably guess the same.
Especially with the new
Do you think
owner.
he's on the hottest seat in Ottawa?
Maybe. It's either. I mean, you could make a case for Granato just based on where Buffalo was projected to be going into this year, and that things just have not turned out well. They have had some injuries this year, so I don't want to completely discount them. I'd probably lean towards Smith though, because they are bottom feeders right now, even though they haven't played as many games. So maybe that's part of the reason why he hasn't been let go, is like they want to let the Sens catch up to everybody else, and then see where they are. But it's hard to find another guy in a worse position, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, like you have the Sharks and the Blackhawks and teams that knew where they were going to be bad, and like they're like, what's the point of changing anything? Like we're not trying to win yet.
Yeah, so. I don't think those teams are really expected to do anything. Like Columbus, I don't think you fire Pascal Vincent. Like he just came in to replace Babcock right before the season started, so you got to give him some more time. I'm trying to think of any other teams.
Well, when did Dave Haxtell get hired for the Kraken?
He was
the original, right?
The inaugural head coach. Yeah,
I could see that.
I was thinking about that.
When did
They've had
how
a
many
weird year.
seasons did Vegas go before getting a new coach? Because it wasn't very long.
They
They're on their third coach, right?
yeah, Gallant was fired in their third season. That's when they hired DeBoer. Then
And
DeBoer
this
was
is
there
Seattle's
for a
third.
little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, and they made the playoffs last year, and they're really not looking like a playoff team right now. So
Yeah.
we'll see how
That'd be my
aggressive
guess, I
they
think.
get.
Well, that or Ottawa.
Yeah, I could see
Mike
Hacksaw go.
Sullivan, maybe?
Sullivan. I
Been there
think
so
I think I
long.
just saw Dubas sort of instilled some uh, confidence in him, like some support for Sullivan recently. So I would probably say he's less likely. Um, and they're not too far out of a playoff spot right now, are they? Penguins.
Um, no, they're in. They have 29 points. Yeah, I guess it's crazy. So you have in the wild card, you have Detroit with 34 and Washington with 31, and then the Devils with 31, and then Carolina with 31, and then Tampa with 31,
Yeah.
and then you have Pittsburgh at 29. I mean, Tampa's another one. I guess they're not that far out, and they've just gotten their goalie back, but like John Cooper's been there forever.
I feel like you can't let Cooper go unless they
No.
actually miss the playoff. And even if they do miss the playoffs this year, I don't think that immediately means you let Cooper go. He's brought so much to the franchise: 3 straight Stanley Cup final appearances, 2 cups. It's invaluable, and he's one of the longest tenured coaches in the league right now. I think the longest.
I'm sure it's Mike Sullivan.
Or Sullivan, yeah. It's probably Sullivan and then Cooper. I would have to take a guess.
March 25th, 2013 is John Cooper.
I think Sullivan's been there for longer than... Because I think he was there for the 2009 run. Maybe I'm mistaken on that, though.
Oh, I didn't even know he was head coach of the Providence Bruins. Mike Sullivan, 2002, 2003.
Oh. 1 year, but
Let's see.
still.
Oh, his playing career. I don't care about that.
Hmm.
Looks like also 2015.
Oh, okay.
But what day did he get hired?
Yeah.
June 18th. Was John Cooper by a couple months.
Yeah, for some reason I thought he had been there for longer, but maybe I was just thinking of the playoff streak.
Coached 4 games for that team. Well, I don't know. Who's had more playoff games since 2015? Probably the Penguins.
No way. What?
They
It's
were in
got to
the
be
playoffs.
Tampa. Because the Penguins keep going out in the first round. Like, the Lightning have made a bunch of deep runs.
Yeah, I guess.
And Puljujarvi has signed a PTO with the Penguins as well. So he was rehabbing with an injury, which is part of the reason that he was unsigned heading into the beginning of free agency and then heading into the start of the training camps and whatnot. So I don't know if he's played yet, or actually, well, he wouldn't play yet because I don't think they've signed him to a contract. So we'll keep an eye on that. But good for him that somebody's interested and wants to take a shot.
Yeah.
You're trying to find the playoff numbers.
Yeah, I think you're right though.
Yeah, I mean, going to 3 finals alone
Mm.
since 2015. Plus, they won
the cup in
deep,
16 and 17.
The Penguins did. Yeah, you're right.
No.
But then after that, they've been only to the first round.
Yeah.
Like meanwhile,
Tampa.
like Tampa went to the first round. Like I think I can't remember what round they lost in.
Were they making the
2015.
playoffs in 2015? Yeah, I don't know. Well, if you care, you can look it up when you edit this.
I'm trying to think. I think it was 2014 is when they made it. Nah, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So, well, I guess we'll let you know.
Or not.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how interested I am. Did you see the new All Star Skills format that they've teased?
No, I only know about the bringing the drafting back or whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
So they've revealed some more information about what they're going to do for the skills competition. So they've revamped the whole format. It's going to be I can't remember how many players is it. I think it's 11 players. There's 8 different competitions, and you get a certain number of points based on how you finish in each one. And then the one with the most points at the end wins $1 million. So,
It gives some incentive.
yeah, I think that's immediately a positive in that.
They need to do that for the All Star game itself too, though, because like they don't play defense.
Yeah, they do get $1 million for winning the game.
But that's like split among however many people.
Yeah.
12 people or however many.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same as one player winning $1 million. I mean, obviously these are mostly going to be superstar players that have plenty of money, anyways. But still, it's hard to turn that down.
What are your thoughts on having for like the skill competitions, like fastest skater, hardest shot, bringing in players that aren't all stars but are the ones that probably have like the highest chance of winning? Like the fastest skater is like some random like fourth liner, or the hardest shots some third pairing defender, and like having them compete.
I think it could be pretty fascinating. So this time they are having each competitor is doing all of the skills competitions, which we haven't really seen before. Maybe that's happened in previous years, but like the recent skills competitions haven't been formatted that way.
They all have to do the fastest skater.
Yeah, so let me pull up. I should have linked it. What the games are. So yeah, so there's 3 different stages. The first round features 6 competitions: fastest skater, hardest shot, stick handling, one timers, passing, and accuracy shooting. Oh, there we go.
Pretty standard.
Each player participates in 4 of those. So they don't. Yeah, I guess they don't do all of them. And then the players.
So they probably don't want like today's equivalent of Zdeno Chara having to do fastest skater or whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how. I assume that the league will pick which ones each player does. But so yeah, it's 12. Excuse me, it's 12 to start out, and then the players with the 8 best scores in the first round go to the 7th challenge, which is a shootout. The players do choose the goalie that they shoot against, which I think is gonna be really interesting, actually. And then the 6 players with the best shootout scores move on to the 8th one, which is an obstacle course. I don't know exactly what that's going to entail, but I'm pretty interested to hear about that. So then whoever ends up with the most points at the final stage is the eventual winner. So it's I think it's a really interesting idea, and I'm pretty excited to see how it all transpires, especially if the players are into it, which I think the whole point of them revamping it was to try to get the players more involved, so they took direct feedback from the players and from the Players Association to create this new event. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's nice that they're trying something new.
Yeah, I think they basically said like what we were doing was getting pretty stale, and I think a lot of fans were agreeing with that. So that's good. It's gonna be in Toronto, so there's gonna be a lot of eyes on it. So I'm excited, and with the draft too, it should be interesting. And I believe they're going back to where not every team has a representative in the All Star.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, I feel like, well, going back to the like drafting players thing, I don't know why they ever got rid of that. Like that was one of like their best things. You know, it was a good thing because the NBA stole it a couple years later and did it
Mm,
in theirs. And like normally we take things like the NBA does it first and then we take it. But the NBA
yeah,
is like, hey, these guys got something. And we're like, oh yeah, you can have it. We don't want to do it anymore. It's like,
you can have it.
yeah. And then the other thing I know that they're doing in Toronto is like honoring some Toronto team from like the 1960s or something.
They're honoring the '67 Cup winning team, which
Yeah.
was the last time that the Leafs won
Right.
the cup.
Like who's that for? Like our grandparents.
They're just trying to appease the angry fans that have been disappointed for the past, 6 years.
Yeah. Like I don't know who's even alive on that cup team.
I don't know. Like it's got to be like family
Well, if you were
members and some really
yeah,
old
'cause if you were
people.
30 playing on the team a long time ago,
Yeah,
40, 50, 55 years,
like you gotta hope it's like
85, 90. Yeah.
you gotta hope it's like rookie, like some of the rookies that were on that team and like the really young guys. Like yeah, I'm sure if there were any veterans on that team, I'm gonna admit that I do not know anything about the '67 roster of the Leafs, so don't flame me for not knowing who's on it. But
I mean, I guess if
yeah,
you're older, you'd be in your late 90s, you could still be alive.
yeah. I mean, they're not gonna be
Even though if you
playing a
played
game.
hockey in the 60s.
They're not gonna be playing any hockey out there, I would assume.
No alumni game.
Yeah, that
I could
could be.
debut upside down hockey.
Yeah, the old people are like, no, I'm not going up there.
Kane scored his first goal.
Hmm.
He
First
he
goal with
seemed
the Red
pretty
Wings.
excited about it as well.
I'm sure, especially after the uncertainty with the type of hip surgery that he had, like how
Yeah, and
many.
you know he knows too. Like everyone talks about, it. He knows that everyone else who's had it has had a very short career. So I don't know if anyone's come back and even scored a goal. So I mean,
Right.
him coming back and performing at any level close to like any level that is helping his team, like, you gotta be happy about that if you're Kane.
Yeah, and with the recent injuries, having even more responsibility. I'm sure he still puts a lot of pressure on himself to perform, knowing what his ceiling once was
Hmm.
and his hockey IQ and how long he's been in the league. Like, yeah, I still think I have a lot I can contribute. So good for him. Good for Red Wings fans that have been looking for a bit of a spark the last couple of years. Thought maybe last year they would be able to push for a playoff spot, and it didn't work out. Um, I'm personally rooting against the Red Wings. I'm really not a big fan. I know Dean. You say yeah, they're one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, I used to be like when I got into hockey, obviously the Bruins, and then it was Detroit and Tampa. And since I no longer like Tampa, Detroit's still fine because I haven't really had a reason to hate them. And then obviously Dallas I like too.
Yeah, two D's and a B. Doesn't really mean anything, but yeah. So good for Kane, and promising for maybe some other athletes who might be apprehensive about even trying to come back from a surgery like that. Um, I'm sure all players are different, and he probably had a lot of resources that he was able to dedicate to the best possible rehab. I'm sure if he was a third line, fourth line player, he might not be able to dedicate as much time to getting the best possible treatment or whatever. But still promising. We always like to see talented players who have pretty unfortunate setbacks, injury wise, able to come back and still do well.
Yeah, it sucks when players have to end careers because of injuries. So I mean, even like if you do something like Tuca, where like he got injured and like rehabbed and came back and played a couple games and was like, yeah, like I'm done. At least like being able to get back and like play some games is like end on your own terms, I guess.
Yeah, right. Like I'm gonna be the one who decides when when my body is ready,
Mm-hmm.
rather than have my body decide for me. Which
Yeah.
weird to say because you are in your body, but I think you get what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
And I feel like goalies seems like it happens a lot with, especially Carey Price is
Holtby,
still out.
Holtby also kind of career
Yeah,
ended.
yeah,
He's only 34. Well, he's 34 now. He played like a couple games in
Dallas.
21-22 season. So.
Yeah, he played a little bit for Vancouver, and then he went to Dallas. I think he maybe played a couple of games. I don't remember how many games he actually got in. Maybe like half a season at the most. And then I
Ben
think
Bishop's another one, right?
Bishop also Dallas.
Where goalies go to die, except Hudobin.
Except, well, I mean, he kind of got injured too, and he quietly left as well. I don't think he might still be with the organization. I think he might be
Maybe either
done.
goalies go to die. Then I don't know. I look him up.
So Ottinger, look out, I guess. And
Man, I love the
Wedgwood,
first picture that comes up when you Google Hudobin.
he's
Such
got
a
a
Dobie picture.
he's great. That Dallas jersey right there is a Hudobin. One of my
Um,
one of my favorite players.
yeah,
Former Boston
here's
Bruin, so I usually tend
a
to
picture
like them.
of Dobie. Um, he played one game in the 22-23 season. Yeah, maybe he is done.
That is a good picture. Minnesota
One game
Wild.
with the Blackhawks.
Yeah, a little bit with the Blackhawks.
All right, Dallas is where goalies go to die, I guess.
Rip. Who's next on the chopping block? Maybe Clay Stevenson. We Sam threw that in the group chat. Clay Stevenson, depth goalie for the Capitals, has signed a 3-year extension. So I think the graphic made it seem like he was making what was it, 2.35 million per, but I think that's the full contract. So he's actually signed a contract where he'll be making less money than he's making right now. I think he's making like 800 plus thousand, and he's got a 3-year extension at league minimum to stay with the Caps organization. So they've had a couple of tries with some other goalies recently. I was talking about Hunter Shepard, who's had some looks, and Zach Fucali also, who had a brief stint. I think he's playing out in Russia now. But yeah, just a little minor news, and I guess we'll follow along because they've had some issues of late with goaltending. Kemper hasn't been quite what he was, I think, in Colorado, and Arizona as well. And then
I think Colorado just made him look good too.
yeah, it helps to have that defense to play behind.
Yeah, for sure.
I think part of the reason why they weren't too concerned about replacing him with like a top tier guy when he left. I don't think Georgiev is really a number one guy for most other teams. And yeah, Francouz has been there for a bit, but he's been injured. I know we've already talked about him being out. So yeah, goalies are weird. That's the bottom line.
The only thing else I had on here was I was watching a game the other day and realized that I kind of don't notice the animated board ads anymore.
Oh yeah.
I know this was a whole thing, obviously, when it started, and everyone complaining. And I mean, there's still like some obnoxious ones that like are animated across the whole like length of the boards. But like for the most part, when they just like change from one to another, it's like I've gotten used to them, which I guess is kind of scary because like what else can they add? Like, I mean, they got pushback, but like no one's saying anything about them anymore after like a year. So like it'd be the same with jersey ads. They put like a big like your jerseys start looking like the European ones, and like people freak out, and then a year or two goes by, and they're like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, it's not something that I'm happy about becoming normalized. I still feel like I noticed them, like, and they still have bugs. Like I see memes on Twitter and stuff about players phasing into the boards because that's how like the tech works, and
I
like
haven't seen
losing
it
the
as much though.
like losing the puck and stuff in there too. I do agree that it doesn't happen that frequently, but it happened 0 times when they didn't have it. So I think that's still a negative. I find it also a little weird, like having the targeted ads based on the broadcast that you're watching. Like it'll have stuff for the specific team store and things. That I don't know. It's just like a little.
Yeah,
Like
there was a
it makes
Discover
me
ad
uneasy.
the other day, and it had the 2 credit cards that were showing where the 2 teams playing.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, oh, interesting. But I guess I'm kind of used to like, because Nesson has for the longest time had an ad like animated on the glass behind the net.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe I'm more used to it than others, but that's also more out of the way. And then they also do the ones on like animated onto the ice by the blue line. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Uh,
It's
I,
whatever to me at this point.
I'm still against them, but I will agree that I've mellowed out on them just because, yeah, again, it's getting more and more normal just to see them when I'm watching. So
Would you prefer no ads and a 2 million lower cap in the league? I don't know what it actually equates to.
I would love to sacrifice the ads for less money that the league makes, definitely. Maybe if that means that the players or that the overall salary cap is lower, then so be it for me. I just,
So selfish.
yeah, sorry. The billionaires don't make as much money as they could if they
You've given the league enough money.
sell their souls. Look at this. I mean, most of these are from third-party sellers, but
But they've given the league enough money.
yeah, somebody paid for these.
Yeah.
And then I bought them. I bought plenty of other things too. So yeah, I not for me, not for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know, just annoying having to never know what's coming next as far as what random ad space they're gonna generate, and I am honestly concerned about the jersey future when it comes to ads. They're already annoying. Some of the teams are good about blending them in. Like I think Vegas does a pretty good job. They're still there. You can still notice them, but they're not that distracting.
You'll notice them during the broadcast view. It's only like after the play,
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
which is different than obviously the boards, which you notice during play.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, and then I've already talked about how concerned I am for the new Fanatics jerseys next year. We'll see what their ad policy is. My strong feeling is pro.
You mean more money for us?
Yeah, and there have been some teams that have had home and away ad sponsors now too. So that's probably something that'll be expanded more upon in the next couple of seasons. But yeah, I'm concerned about the quality, not just for the players, but for the fans that are going to buy the retail versions. And I don't know, it's just not something I like. When the news dropped about the Fanatics deal, like my heart literally like skipped a beat, and I was like, this has been my nightmare scenario for the league with the Adidas contract not up for renegotiation. I was pretty concerned, so I'm hoping that my fears aren't realized in the next couple of years. It's a 10-year deal too. Like it's not like a quick little like, oh, well, we might have to suffer through like a little bit of a jersey era here. No, like 10 years, that's longer than I've been watching the league, so I'm not excited.
A long time.
Yeah.
The 32 Thoughts podcast just did an interview recently with Dan Neer. He was the head of Adidas hockey.
Yeah.
Because now he's the what was it? I just pulled it up. The WHL commissioner.
I did.
So they were talking to
I
him.
did
I
see
mean, he
that.
didn't talk a ton about like speak for Adidas because he's no longer there, but he did talk a little bit about like the whole jersey thing. So I mean, you might be interested in that.
I did hear about that, but I didn't. I didn't check it out. So maybe I'll do that and report back.
Yeah, I mean, you can always check out the end of the podcast too, where they talk.
Speaking of, oh well, you said WHL. I was gonna say, speaking of the PWHL,
Close enough.
yeah, close enough.
They're hockey leagues.
They're hockey leagues. They got W in them. So we're getting closer and closer to the puck drop on the inaugural season, and like the official rosters have been announced for the teams, and there was just this fun little story about this player. I don't want to butcher the name. I guess I'm just gonna give it a go. Akane Shiga. She is from Japan and left to play professional hockey in North America. She doesn't speak much English, and so she has made the official roster for the Ottawa franchise. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
you don't
that's
really
awesome.
see many at all Asian-born players playing in North America for hockey in any league. So we'll see how the beginning of the year goes for them and for all the teams. Did you see?
I think of any Japanese NHL players. I know when Owen and I used to play Chell, we used to do the national teams, and I've been playing for years, and he never played. So I know we'd beat Japan because it was one of the lower overall teams, and he'd be
Yeah.
like Team Canada.
Yeah, he would play the best teams, and he would play Japan to handicap yourself.
Or Great Britain.
Yeah, Great Britain. Yep. Two nations not historically known for their hockey. Yeah.
Taka Fukafuji. I think I've heard of him.
Fukafuji.
06-07, played for the Kings. First Japanese player to appear in a National Hockey League game. That's why I've heard of him, probably. 06-07 for the Kings.
There's Sugimoto, the fake player that the Sabres management group created in what was it 1974, I think it was. The whole story about how they drafted a player that didn't exist. They said he was from like a Japanese hockey league.
Oh yeah.
That one's fun. You guys should check that out. I can throw a link in the description to the article that I read.
So I
once
thought
about
about Nick Suzuki, but I don't know if he was born. I think he was born in the U.S., Canada.
Yeah,
And Jason Robertson, like his like ethnicity, Suzuki's Japanese mixed, and then Robertson's white and Filipino. But
yeah, of Asian descent, but yeah, they're the Robertsons, I think, are from America, right? Nick and Jason. I don't remember where in the U.S. they're from. Maybe California. I don't know. But yeah, not too common. For at least for the NHL.
Paul Kariya was part Japanese.
Who was that?
Apparently, Paul Kariya was part Japanese.
Oh, Paul Kariya.
Or I guess he still is.
He still is. He's just not playing in the league anymore.
Yeah.
But he's still part Japanese.
Yes.
That doesn't go away once you retire. Yeah, that's cool.
How about those Jonas Brothers?
I was like, I'll throw it in there. So apparently they're gonna be performing at the Stadium Series. I think they're gonna be at the Devils game because there's two Stadium Series games. So that's fun.
I had a thought, and it was right. They're from New Jersey.
I also thought
it's such a random like poll. I'm like, they gotta be from one of the like either New Jersey or Philly.
Yeah, they usually try to do that stuff like Nickelback played at the Heritage Classic, and they're from the Alberta area. I don't remember where maybe they must be near Edmonton. But yeah, they usually try.
Bon Jovi's from New Jersey.
Ooh, maybe maybe he'll play for the Islanders game.
My Chemical Romance, that would have been the best.
Oh yeah.
Misfit.
I can't remember I think Justin actually saw My Chemical Romance in New Jersey. They play at the Prudential Center. I'm pretty sure he went to that concert.
That's pretty sweet. Do you know, the When We Were Young festival, right?
Yeah.
So this year or next year, whenever it is, they're having bands play full albums, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like
Oh.
MCR is playing the Black Parade front to back.
Oh man.
I'm like, that's sweet.
That is pretty cool. The outdoor NHL games are definitely not known for being concerts. Like, you don't go there just to see a band perform. You're definitely there just for the hockey, but it's a nice little bonus.
Yeah. If they had taken a band from Philly, they could have gotten Hall & Oates. It would have been perfect.
Oh. Damn. Oh well. Jonas Brothers will be cool. They've been coming back a little bit recently, I guess.
Oh, speaking about coming back, do you know who released their first album? I think their first ever full album this year. Rebecca Black.
Oh.
It was okay.
I think there actually are like she actually does have like a semi decent following nowadays. Like she's
She had
not
like 300,000 monthly listeners or something, which is like more than a lot of the metal bands I listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, she she doesn't do anything like the song that she's most known for anymore.
I mean, she recorded that when she was like 13.
Yeah, like I think a lot of
I think
people,
she's our age.
Yeah, I think so. So that's I'm sure it still follows her around a lot. Like, it must be tough to get taken seriously with.
Yeah.
That's tough. I mean, getting sort of clowned on the internet like that early.
You gotta
on.
recognize though, otherwise she probably wouldn't even be like putting out albums and getting streams.
Yeah, that's true. Dean and I are both in pretty similar music veins for the most part, so we're often chatting about music. Not Rebecca Black though. This is the first time we've talked about her. But yeah, we're both pretty much into metalcore sort of stuff.
Yeah, before the recording started, I was complaining about trying to get Sleep Token tickets because they're playing at Red Rocks. And yesterday was the artist pre-sale. I waited in the queue, got in, sold out. Today was the venue pre-sale, waited in the queue, sold out. Tomorrow's the like open one for everyone, and I have a meeting during this sale time. So I'm like, and I've texted my friends; they haven't gotten them either days either. So
it's like one of the coolest venues, and it's one of the hottest bands like right now. So that means demand is like incredibly high for this show. But it would be.
This is also the first time I've had this issue because like most bands I listen to are playing at like 2,000 place or 2,000 people venues like capacity, and they don't sell out, or they don't they never immediately sell out. So like it's nice liking this genre and not having to deal with like the whole Taylor Swift thing, and like that would drive me crazy because like
I bet
I know I'm not lucky enough to get one of those tickets, and then I'm not paying $3,000 or whatever on secondary markets.
Resale markets. Yeah, I bet there's like I'm sure there's like a lot of pop artists and country music artists and things that it's always going to be a struggle to get tickets.
Even the just straight up ones are so expensive, like just on Ticketmaster for those shows. Like my friend was saying Morgan Wallen was like $300. Blink 182 is another one. Like I was looking at pit tickets, like before they sold it. Like even just straight up on Ticketmaster, like $200 or $300.
Yeah, I considered going to see them last year when they were touring, or this year actually. And yeah, I pretty much got priced out. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. I know some people were like buying them day of, and were able to get pretty good value, but I don't live close enough to any of the venues that they were going to where I was going to take that gamble. Like drive somewhere and then not be able to get like, I guess I probably would at that point if I actually went, like, bite the bullet, but I didn't really feel like that was going to be worth it. As much as I love them, they're one of my favorite all-time bands. I was like, I just can't justify it.
Yeah.
Which is tough. And luckily, the NHL is generally not in that sort of realm until you get into playoffs. Like, most teams, maybe like the Leafs and a couple other big market teams, there are generally pretty expensive tickets, but it's not nearly the same where you won't be able to buy a ticket, like, even if you
I don't
want
think
to.
there's ever been a time where like playoff tickets go on sale and sell out immediately.
No,
Like I don't know.
I don't
I've
think so.
never bought playoff tickets personally, but like
Me either.
the only one I've gone to was when I was younger and we went to a first round game 7 or not game was it game? No, it wasn't game 7. First round, some random game I think, and like yeah, they don't sell out. But I wonder like how that works with like season ticket holders obviously get first dibs, but like it's nothing like a concert sale. It's just all put in a queue and then go buy your tickets.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that get locked out of like lower bowl maybe.
Sure.
But if you just want to go to the game and you don't really care where you're sitting, you probably don't have much of an issue as long as you were willing to spend the market price. But yeah, it's not like you're gonna be absolutely forced to go to the resale market. I feel like football's a little bit worse. I think football tickets are generally a lot more expensive, which is why I try my best to go to the cheaper games. That's why I'm going to the New England game this year, because it was the cheapest one. But yeah, like season tickets, I'm sure are crazy, and I'm sure going to every other home game is a lot. There are not that many games comparatively, so you don't have as many chances. So they got to make more money per ticket.
Yeah. I know like the NHL makes a lot of their money off of ticket sales, like more than other leagues percentage wise.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like merchandise and stuff for the NBA and NFL and stuff like that.
Well, these tickets aren't as expensive as I thought. I mean, they were going for way more yesterday. The sleep token on resale markets, $223 each. Like, still tough, but $150. Well, after so that's a $70 markup, which is like still ridiculous. It's not triple, which it was yesterday. It was like $500.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still people over here trying to sell their ticket for $4,324.
That's crazy.
Reserved front center view, row 5, $1,300.
Not terrible.
SeatGeek says it's 8.5. Great deal.
There you go. If it's a great deal, you better buy now. Dean's going to the show, everybody. We're watching him purchase right now live.
Yeah.
No.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to cover? Do you want to cover the last thing on our high priority, big news?
Yeah, I probably should have put that on there, but Boone Jenner, captain of the Blue Jackets, is out 6 weeks, maybe closer to 5, depending on when I put that in the document. I don't remember.
Was it broken jaw, right?
Yeah. Was he? No, it wasn't him. There was another player who like spit out part of their jaw when they got hit by a puck.
Oh.
Like it wasn't his tooth. It was like another part of his mouth that like got knocked loose and spit out. It's like, oh my God, makes me queasy to think about.
Yeah, I'm just watching the Boone Jenner one. Yeah, puck straight to the jaw.
Ugh.
He ate off on his own though. But yeah, straight down the tunnel. He knew.
So just another setback for the Blue Jackets, who I think were not expected to do anything this year already, but they were supposed to be better than they are, and it's pretty much just going to be another wash of a season, I think.
Yeah.
Not much to look forward to, other than watching Fantilli develop and some of their other young guys, but tough for CBJ.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've pretty much got. I think
That's the show.
that's it for now.
Hope you enjoyed music talk and football talk.
And a little hockey too.
There was some hockey sprinkled in there.
We do love hockey on the show. We'll catch
We
you guys
do.
next week.
Goodbye. I don't know if it's going.
Loading.
Oh shit.
I'm the narrator now. I don't know. I can't hear myself, but I bet I sound cool.